Girl, get a pillow, get a blanket, get some tea, get something to cuddle, because it is time for Snuggling with Cissa, bitch. Yes. So, I feel like, first of all, I'm so sorry that I haven't done a new video in like 2 weeks. There is no excuse. I've been like busy-ish, but I don't feel like that's a proper excuse for why I haven't done a video. I really just have not had the energy or been in the mood, so I just haven't filmed a video, but I don't really feel like that's an accurate excuse either. It's just like, this is a thing that's happened, and I'm sorry. So I wanted to make this video because I feel like I don't want to say there's like parts of myself that I don't discuss or anything like that. I don't want to make it sound like that because I think that sounds like really weird. But I've been wanting to talk about other parts of me that I just don't discuss on my vlog either anymore or just in general. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to kind of talk about a few things that have been going on lately and just kind of thoughts that I've been having and stuff like that. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the fact that I have been writing up a goddamn storm. So for those of you who don't know, my actual dream job thing that I've wanted to do since I was literally 12 years old or maybe 10 years old, I can't even keep track anymore of how long I've wanted to do this. Basically, for as long as I can remember, I have wanted to be an author, and not just like any author, but like wildly well-known, books beloved, all of that stuff. Like, that has been my dream. That is what I love. Like, you know, going on a book tour, I remember from a very, very young age, going on a book tour is just like this great fantasy that I've had in my head for so long. And so, like, just going on a book tour and that whole idea and signing books and meeting fans and people talking about my book and loving my book and all of that, that is like such a huge dream. It's something I've wanted for so long. And for some reason, it became this thing where originally when I first started vlogging, I think my first few vlogs actually, I talked about writing quite a bit. And then I was kind of like, you know, my blog, which I was still doing at the time, was exclusively about writing, so I was already talking about writing. And I thought, I want to have some separation between like what I vlog about on YouTube and what I talk about on my blog, because if I'm talking so much about writing, they're inevitably going to cross paths, and I'm going to start talking about the same things in one as the other. And I just thought that was really not silly, but I thought it was kind of excessive, and I thought it was unnecessary. And so I was like, okay, well, like, obviously something's got to give. So I started doing vlogs that were things I enjoyed watching, but not necessarily something I was equipped to discuss the same way. Because I think the thing is, like, for me, this is going to sound really pretentious, but since I've been doing this since I was like 10 years old, I feel like I'm more of an expert on writing than I am on a lot of other subjects. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm very much a self-described expert on like being a Slytherin and, you know, the inner workings of Draco Malfoy's mind. But like, as far as, you know, I love makeup, but I'm by no means an expert at makeup. I'm good at it enough. I think I do some really nice looks, and I enjoy the looks that I do, but I would not call myself a makeup expert by any means or any stretch of the imagination. That said, you know, and even with something like graphic design, I love graphic design. It's something that I do to stay creative that's different from writing. But I don't even really think I'm an expert in graphic design. Like, I could not do videos that some people do where they're like, here's my process, let me show you step by step how to do things. Even when I do something and I think, oh my god, this is brilliant, oh my god, I love this, a lot of the times I'm kind of like, I have no fucking clue how I did it. I don't know why I was trying to censor myself there. Excuse me. I have no fucking clue how I did it. I have no fucking clue how to explain this to people. I just know, like, I just do things, and if I don't like them, then I chuck them and go for something else. Like, people who can make videos specifically about how to do things, I applaud that, because I have never been good at that, and I don't think I ever would be, because I'm not saying I wouldn't make a good teacher, but I feel like knowing how to do something, like doing something, and knowing how to explain how to do something are two very different things. It's one thing to write a book. It is another thing to explain to someone how to write a book. And so I admire people who are able to teach how you do certain things, how you go from point A to point B in Photoshop, and how you step by step create something beautiful and brilliant and masterful. Because a lot of times for me, I'm just playing around with stuff to see what I like and what visually captures my attention. It's not necessarily that I'm doing something that, I don't want to say I don't have an active thought about it, but it's like one of those things that for me, it has to capture my attention first. So one of the things I've done since I was a kid, before I even knew what a graphic designer was, is create book covers for all of my books. That's something I still to this day do. I love doing it. I actually have a book cover that I'm going to be showcasing. But basically, I created a book cover because I'm going to be sharing one of my stories that I've written exclusively for Wattpad. That's going to be shared on Wattpad very, very soon. I don't want to say a date yet because I have no official dates. I don't have any, like, official plans, but when I want to publish it, I will say this. I want to have at least 5 chapters completed just so I can stay ahead of myself and maybe publish a chapter a week. And so that by the time I'm on the 5th chapter, I should already be at 10 chapters and I'll be even more ahead of myself. That's my plan, tentatively. This is a completely different way for me to write too, you know, because right now, normally when I'm writing, right, I write the whole book and then I edit and make rewrites or whatever, you know, whatever that is needed. Right now, what I'm doing is first I outlined it. I outlined 40 chapters in like 6 hours, unexpectedly. Then I wrote 2 chapters, edited said chapters, sent them to friends to kind of look over and tell me what they thought. And I have very, very specific friends who will give me notes and will fully read me the house down. And then edited that. I haven't actually gotten the notes back from the friends, but presumably what I'm going to be doing is taking those notes, possibly editing things from there, and then those will be like complete chapters. So this is a completely different process for me, because typically people don't read it until I've already done my own edits and rewrites and like made sure everything makes sense and works and blah, 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 blah. And until the novel's completely done. So to be doing it in sections like this is really, really different for me, and really, really, I don't want to say difficult. It's a new challenge, and I'm not disliking it as much as I thought I would. But something like that, I mean, even explaining that isn't necessarily how someone writes a novel and how you create a novel is different for everyone. I don't normally outline books. I very rarely outline books. And when I do, it's not that everyone does it differently, and everyone's process for creating is different. You know, I actually was just speaking with my friend Kat. She was showing me one of her outlines for her books, and it was so impressive. And she was telling me how she outlines, and it's like, you know, this is the chapter, this is different scenes, and here's now paragraphs for these scenes and like sub scene, and it's just so impressive. And I'm like, oh my god, what? I could not, like, literally my outline is like chapter number, this is what happens. Chapter number, this is what happens. Like, it's almost never this, like, scene by scene breakdown. The only time I can do that is, like, after a book is written. Then you can do, like, a scene by scene breakdown where you're like, okay, this is what's happening throughout the whole book. This is what it looks like outlined. So I can say, I love to do an outline after the book is written, so I can say, okay, here's what happened, or what I wrote happened. Here's what I feel like needs to happen from here and from this point. That's a really fun thing to do that I got into recently. But, like, as far as outlining is concerned, that is not something I do every time. So I can't really say that that's a part of creating a novel, because it's not for everyone. Normally, I don't like to plot things like that. I like to just experience it as it goes. And you can still do that with an outline, but sometimes it's more difficult. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, and especially, you know, like, hold on. And especially, like, outlining, writing, editing, letting someone read it, re-editing, and then considering posting that. That's so much different from my process, from what my process has ever been. And even if you consider, like, outlining, writing, editing, next chapter, and going through it that way, that's still, like, beyond any type of way I've ever written before. And it's not horrible. It's very, very interesting, but it's so, so different. And it kind of makes things feel like they're set in stone in a way that they're not normally for me. Because if you write a book in which you write from beginning to end, if you say in the first chapter that someone's blonde, and then in the 5th chapter that they're brunette, and you're like, you know what, actually, I think they should be brunette, you can change that and go back in the first chapter and make them brunette. But, like, if you set it in chapter 1 that they're blonde, you better fix it in chapter 5, and you better remember that you said they were blonde, and you're going to have to make a note for yourself about that. And that's another thing Kat does really well, is she has, like, character sketches that are just would blow your mind, these character sketches. And I'm just like, I'm not that organized, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's not that I don't know a lot of things about my characters, but I've never actually, some of the things I've never thought to put down. Like, she knows, like, favorite characters, like, just things that are not favorite characters, favorite colors, things like that, that, like, for me, I'm like, at no point in my writing would someone's favorite color come up. So I've never actually thought about it. Even though, like, my first thought that comes to mind with one of them was something I'd never thought of before then. And, like, some things I can answer on the fly because I know enough about my characters that I have a pretty good idea of some of the answers. You know, but, like, other things I'm just like, oh, God, I have no clue what the hell the answer to that would be. And that's not something I've considered. And so I feel like comparatively, there are some writers who are very, very outlined and detail-oriented and do that very well. And then there's me, who likes to find things out as I go along, which isn't terrible, but it's not the best way to write a novel. So I'm kind of trying to experiment with a different focal point and a different idea, and having an outline to begin with is so much different from how I normally do it, but it's really, really exciting. So essentially, you know, that's the biggest thing that I've been doing, and I haven't talked about writing in so long, and I especially have never talked about, like, any of my projects or things that I'm working on or how they're going, and I kind of feel bad about it because I miss talking about writing because it's such a big, important part of my life. And to think that I've created this channel and I've been doing it for a year, and that most of the people who follow me may never have known that about me, because unless you follow my Twitter, in which I talk about writing a little bit more, you wouldn't necessarily know that, because I don't discuss it ever. And that's such a weird thing for me. And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is, like, I feel like I have a tendency, and I'm sure a lot of people do this, but I have this tendency to, like, compartmentalize myself in things that I enjoy and things that I like. And, you know, obviously I can showcase being a Slytherin with shirts or my Slytherin shoes that I just bought, which I should bring into the frame, but I'm not gonna. Or like, you know, my whole backdrop, which is Slytherin everything. That's very easy to showcase and not necessarily talk about either. But like something like writing, yeah, you can see that I have books. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. I always talk about loving notebooks and pens. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. But it's one of those things that it's kind of weird to think that I don't talk about it that much. And I don't, or at least I don't talk about it on my channel. And I've kind of been wondering lately, like, why? Why is that something I don't discuss on this channel? Should I get back into talking about writing and just talking about how my writing's going or what I'm working on? Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay I didn't know what was that? Finger guns? What am I? Oh my god, you guys. Goodbye. I need sleep somewhere. I can't. Goodbye. Oh god, this light is so blinding. Goodbye, everybody. I wanted to make it. Never mind. I give up. I give up. Goodbye. Ah.